Reshaunda Thornton here, the dietitian against diets. I am here in Ashkum, Illinois with Janie's Farm and Janie's Mill. I'm actually in one of the restaurants they provide their meals and grains to, called Beans and Barley Brews. Can't wait to get some lunch, but before I start talking about getting my own food, I wanted to take you behind the scenes of the work that they have been doing over the last years. One thing I will say that you're going to learn is that they're first an organic farm, 100% organic. They have a diversification of different types of grains for which they use. Their main focus is to provide taste and nutrition. And as a dietitian, I can totally agree with that. So I can't wait for you to meet the farmer. I can't wait for you to meet the mill manager, the restaurant owner here, and also one of the retail managers. We're gonna have a great time. You're gonna learn a lot about Janie's Mill and Janie's Farm. So Harold, as the owner of Janie's Farm, and not only the owner, but the farmer behind the scenes, I know it's a lot of hard work that goes on that we don't even know about. But what's the most significant part of me is about your crop and your land is really built off using organic farming, organic products. So why is that such a significant thing that you kind of stepped outside of the norm and brought this particular farming into the industry?
I was tired of handling pesticides. I didn't like the GMOs. You know, when I got the opportunity to go organic, it just felt right. And so one of the things that I always wanted to know more about was the soil. And what are we doing to our soil? When I was conventional, our soil got tighter. It didn't have the water filtration. It was actually dead. And so now, with going organic, we do rotations. We use cover crops, we mix them into the top 3 inches of soil, and the soil's alive, and it's loose, it's more loose, there's more activity in it, so it'll break down the residue from the last year to use as fertility the next year. And everything we do is renewable. I mean, we're not killing anything, and we're adding carbon to the soil.
Because of doing that, you're diversifying the soil, so you're not even having to have the need of those herbicides anyway.
Right. So by changing our practice, we have small grains such as wheat and rye. We have different varieties of corn, different varieties of soybeans. And while it's all grain, it all goes in different directions. So, and that was one of the reasons that we started the mill, was we were able to then take our crop that we were raising in a healthy manner and process it into something that could be used by the consumer.
You know, as a consumer myself, I always want to take into consideration the work that's being done and just really knowing everything as far as each part of the process, so I know what I'm putting into my system, you know? So for you, what is like every kind of your daily activities that you do? I know it's just like a crazy question, but
yeah,
just curious.
Weekly instead of daily, but no, I'm a farmer first, and that's what my instinct is. But then I also love selling what we raise to others, and so I act in sales, delivery for the mill. So I may be on a truck one day and a tractor the next, and at a desk the following day. So whatever is needed is where I go. I kind of joke that I'm the libero of Janie's Farm. So I move around and I'm anywhere and everywhere.
The most significant thing that stood out to me was when you were discussing about the stone milling process. Now I would say I've never really heard of that term before, so I would love for you to just kind of dig in a little bit deeper what that means and like how is that beneficial to consumers?
Sure. So stone milling is actually the most ancient form of milling. It's been around for thousands of years. And what they may have not known back then that we do know now is the nutritional benefits of stone milling. So with stone milling at Janie's Mill, we have 2 Ensko mills, which come from Denmark, and they're 36-inch stone mills. And so you have one stone that is stationary and one stone that is spinning. And as the grain enters the mill, the centrifugal force of the spinning stone actually grinds the grain into flour. So you have the grain flowing into the mill, and what comes out is 100% flour, stone ground, whole kernel flour.
So I'm assuming that this was intentional as far as
Oh, yes.
choosing to go this route of processing, because it's keeping all the nutrients intact.
That's absolutely right. So yeah, it was intentional to do the stone milling process so that we could offer the consumer a very nutritious and flavorful product. Your white flour in the grocery store does not have a shelf life. It can last years and it will not go rancid, it will not go bad. Whereas Janie's Mill flour has a shelf life mainly because of those oils in there, and it can go rancid. But that's the nutrition and that's the flavor. So we intentionally left that in.
I know personally, grains come with so many different nutrients you can't get from other types of food groups. And so if you're able to bring in a product that's going to offer that nutrition, still be something that's usable for those individuals that did have those previous conditions, that's another like area that needs to be addressed or even need to be served. So I'm glad that you have found that you already knew this, but you're getting those consumers that used to have those conditions, those health conditions, those digestive conditions, and they found that this particular product is, I can have this now. I feel good after I eat it.
Exactly.
One of the biggest models I've seen at Janie's Mill, the motto is farm to mill to you. And I already know clearly what that means, but I would love to hear your words on what that means and why it's so important.
Well, I feel like our good quality grains, and we have them cleaned, and then they go to the mill. They're milled into flour, and then they're packaged, and then they go directly to the consumer. And the consumer is able to get quality grains milled to what they would like to use, and it comes right to their door. Want to know what trips my trigger? That's it. Being able to have people come to us and say, we love your product, and knowing that we've raised it in a responsible manner on our farm and we're feeding people.
So because we have this small food chain, it couldn't be broken.
Yes.
Whereas, this global, huge food chain that we've come to rely on couldn't function during that time. People ran out of goods that they needed. And so I think that really made the public think about a few things about where their food comes from and how important it is to have that short supply chain, because, whether it's a pandemic or trade wars or you name it, we want people to be able to get the product that they need. There's a lot of people out there who aren't healthy right now, and they're wondering, maybe they're not gluten intolerant, but they say they can't eat bread and they can't eat pasta and they can't eat all these things. I want them to know that if you eat a whole grain product, you might be able to eat it without health problems. In fact, you might see some positive results. And so we've had quite a few customers say, I have not eaten bread in 10 years, but when I buy bread that's made with your flour, I don't have any problems. Why is that? And so then that's why we start talking about like how Janie's Mill flour is different than the flour that you might have bought previously.
Have you always used Janie Mill product, or if you haven't, what's the difference between their products comparable to the ones you've had in the past?
So when we opened Beans and Barley Brews here March of 2019, it was kind of a natural selection for us just to choose Janie's Mill. From knowing the family, growing up with the family. There's all sorts of flours you can get across the industry, don't get me wrong there, but when you've got something local, you want to use as much local. That's kind of what we prided ourselves on here. So basically, since we've opened, we try to do as much within a 30 to 60 mile radius of all the ingredients that we use. And so the flours that we get, they're made right down the road, so it's pretty special there. It's a really cool fact for a lot of people that come here, because they get to say, hey, this is literally made in town. It comes straight from the farm, goes through the mill, they deliver it here, and it's either a loaf of bread or we produce our buns in-house, or even our flatbreads that we produce. So it's literally turned into a final product within 24, 48 hours.
It reminds me of someone just going hunting or fishing and just bringing it back, cleaning it up, it's on the table.
Yeah,
of the
it's
same
just
concept.
easy that way.
Yeah.
And you know, that really resonates with people, right? And you know, the shift in the dynamic of people's dietary desires, you know, they want it to be fresh. They want it to be local, and literally across the interstate, it doesn't come more local than that.
Yeah. How are you able to get these products out to larger population, to larger crowds, so where people are more aware of Janie's Mill products and their goods?
Well, a lot of our expansion has been in word of mouth. So, you know, we started out with a couple of bakeries, people that knew people, and like Ibis Bakery in Kansas City, Union Loafers in St. Louis, you know, Vicia Restaurant, Weekly Harvest. We work with Eat Here in St. Louis, Hume Bakery in Evanston. These are all anchor people who, you know, tried our product, loved it, and now they talk about us to their friends, and it works out in word of mouth.
And I can tell you firsthand off, when I'm in St. Louis, I'm always hearing about Union Loafers. It's always positive things about their breads and their baked goods, and I mean, that just only speaks for the products that they're getting. So I think it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, well, the bread made with our flour and their apple walnut salad is
Perfect.
perfect.
Well, I'll have to give me some of that when I go next time for sure.
Sounds great.
Where are some specialty places that, you know, most people may not even know your product is at?
Well, so mainly we work with distributors in different cities, and we also work directly with bakeries, and we work with restaurants, grocery stores. We're just now really getting to work our retail packaging into the grocery store chains.
And then the next part of my job is to actually go and talk to all the people that these boxes of flowers go to. When it's the people that are calling us online or ordering online or calling in orders, those are the people that we talk to through customer care. And so that's when I teach them how to bake with the bread and talk to them about which flour would be better for what bread or what product that they're baking.
Yeah.
The thing with our flours also is that we don't need to knead them too much because it's really organic. So the enzymes are really, really active and the gluten gets to work really fast. So it doesn't need to be pushed, and that's one of the things we have to teach all our people, that all you do is stretch and fold. You don't need to knead.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite sayings.
We're a family farm who is dedicated to doing a good job of farming. We have the people that work with us who are dedicated to our mill, and so that the product that people get from Janie's Mill or Janie's Farm is wholesome. It's something that we can be proud of, and we can be grateful to the people who buy from us for that partnership that they bring to Janie's Farm and Mill.
When people buy our product for the first time, I'll get phone calls, I'll get emails back to say, it's so flavorful. I didn't know that it could be that flavorful.
Or they didn't know bread's supposed to taste like
Right,
that, or baked product's supposed to taste like that.
Right, yeah. And even like cookies, I'll be like, I just baked the best cookies. And they're just so amazed that it tastes so good.